Hello, I'm Kendra Winchester and welcome to my channel. I'm really excited to start a booktube channel. I've been wanting to do it for a while, so let's get started. And I want to talk about the top books of the year. Not really top books. Favorite would be a better term because some of these I just plain enjoyed and would highly recommend for anyone looking for something to relax with and enjoy. But first, meet Dylan. Dylan is sort of like my co-host on this channel. Unfortunately, most of that co-hosting involves chewing cardboard or trying to sneak a nibble on books. Exactly. Exactly. He is also the book corgi on Instagram, where it's just an excuse for me to post adorable corgi photos all the time. So, yes. No chewing. Can you handle that? Okay. So the first book I want to talk about is The Barkskins. Now, The Barkskins is written by Annie Proulx, the same woman that wrote Brokeback Mountain, the short story that the movie was based on, and she has continued into like a frontierish, outdoorsy kind of theme there. I haven't really read anything else by her, but I really enjoyed Barkskins. It starts out as like a frontier story. So two guys go to the New World where they're indentured servants, and we follow the course of their families throughout history and time, and one becomes a forestry mogul in the industry, and another one marries a First Nations woman, and so you get to follow the indigenous people through time stuff. It's like 600 pages, and it's the type of book you read 100 pages and you skip dinner, you skip feeding your corgi, and you don't really know what's going on, but you definitely enjoy that book. So if that's something you're interested, definitely check out The Barkskins by Annie Proulx. Are you done? You just gonna do one recommendation? So next we're going to talk about another book, which is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, and I love this book to pieces. Simon from Savage Reads recommended this book, and I just can't get enough of it. I recommend it to everyone, and it's the book that I bought several people for Christmas. The cover is gorgeous. So this is about a woman whose husband dies, and she goes to Essex to try to find the Essex Serpent, and she finds a vicar. This book delves into, questions of science and the spiritual nature of things, and all sorts of different complicated issues and topics and everything. And then also you have the Victorian Gothic style and motifs throughout the book, and occasionally she'll do something that's obviously not Victorian Gothic, but it brings you out of the world a little bit. But it's just a beautiful book, and I would recommend it to pretty much anyone who enjoys reading. So that is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. The next book I want to talk about is The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and it won the Booker International Prize this year, and it is well deserved. Deborah Smith did an amazing translation of this very short novel, and it's about a woman who has a dream and wakes up and becomes a vegan, and her entire family is against this, and her husband and brother-in-law and father, and basically all the men in her life want her to change her mind, and the women in her life want her just to make the men happy. And so it's about how men treat women in society, and it's also about how there's this natural instinct for some people to corrupt innocence, and so it talks about that. And then the viewpoints are amazing. So it's actually not from her viewpoint, it's from her husband, her brother-in-law, and her sister, and so you learn her story from other people. And it's just so fascinating how she did that. There are a lot of trigger warnings with this book, though, so if that's something that you need to be aware of in your own reading life, then just take that in hand as you take a look at the book. The descriptions, she describes it all. Some people just say, this happened, but she describes it happening. So you might want to flip through it a little bit if you have those trigger warnings. The next book we're going to talk about is a nonfiction book, and that is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi, and it is an amazing, heartbreaking memoir of a brain surgeon who's diagnosed with cancer, and he has to deal with it, and part of the way he deals with it is writing this book. And he's a very good writer. He has an English degree. He kind of did a wandering thing apparently when he's younger, so he had good writing. It'll break your heart, but it is very good. It definitely lives up to the hype. So another nonfiction book I really liked is Dreamland by Sam Quinones, and I was able to interview him for my hometown paper because it's set in my hometown. And if you see the cover there, you'll see that the subtitle involves the opiate epidemic in America. It's very complicated, but it's so good. Like, his narrative nonfiction, but he does such an amazing job of explaining all these complicated facets of this epidemic and why it is important that we help change it, and then the small steps that the communities are making. And so it was very interesting to read about my own town, because my town, like, is never mentioned in anything. Like, we got a mention Elsie Dinsmore. I think that was about it. So, yeah, that is Dreamland by Sam Quinones. There really is no segue that I can do for this, because I'm not sure there's a segue anyone can do for this book, and that is Jane Steele by Lindsay Faye. And I love this book. Like, you can't really get a quirkier book. Like, it is sort of like a retelling of Jane Eyre, but it's actually a girl named Jane whose favorite book is Jane Eyre, and she's a serial killer. She kills men who do bad things to women. So there are a lot of parallels in the story of Jane Eyre and Jane Steele, and so there is a horrible headmaster, there's a horrible cousin, there's just horrible men. Reader, I murdered him. Best line. And I really enjoyed this book. The setup is ridiculous, but you know what? It's fun and enjoyable, and actually has some insightful commentary on life and society. So this is definitely something, if you read a really depressing book, you need a pick-me-up, I would definitely recommend this book, because it is just so fun. So fun. And that is Jane Steele by Lindsay Faye. Next is Roses and Rot by Kat Howard, because I loved Holly Black as a teenager, and it's like Kat Howard made it even better. She brought so much adult maturity to the writing and to the style. I love fantasy. Fantasy is my first love. The story is that two sisters go to an artist colony. One's a dancer, one's a writer, and they discover, like, there's this weird secret society there, and there seems to be, like, these fairy creatures, and what's going on, no one knows. And so you delve into all of that interesting magicalness throughout the book. You will especially like this book, I think, if you read a lot of, like, the contemporary setting with fantasy in it, like Holly Black, and can't really think of anyone else off the top of my head, but if you enjoyed that, and especially enjoy YA fantasy and different things, I really think you'll enjoy Roses and Rot. P.S. I love Neil Gaiman, obviously. Blurb by Neil Gaiman. Of course I'm going to read it. Why wouldn't I read it? I mean, yeah, I'm pretty much guaranteed to read it if Neil Gaiman blurbs it. The next book I want to talk about is The Fire This Time by Jesmyn Ward, because Jesmyn Ward is obviously, I mean, you can see Salvage the Bones, like, right there. The Fire This Time is an essay collection that Jesmyn Ward collected and edited that is reflecting on James Baldwin's essay, The Fire Next Time, and so it's The Fire This Time, and they're reflecting on current race relations in America. So if you want to learn more about the current race relations in America, then you should definitely pick up The Fire This Time. Her essay in particular, obviously, I really enjoyed, because she does, like, a genetics test on herself, and that changes the way she views her identity, because she had some unexpected results in her, like, what races that she is made up of and where her genetics. Pause this normally scheduled video. Dylan just ran and ate something, and I don't even know what else. So he's in timeout, so he's just gonna... Next, we have the Reading Women Award. If you didn't know, I'm the co-host of the Reading Women podcast, and we discuss books by or about women. And we started an award this year called the Reading Women Award. I'm not going to talk about these books very much, but if you want to know more about them, you can listen to the podcast episode, which I'll link down below. First up is The Mothers by Britt Bennett, and I don't even know what he's doing. Okay, first up is Britt Bennett's The Mothers, and it's her debut, and it's a gorgeous book about a girl whose mother committed suicide, and then she starts an affair, Nadia starts an affair with the pastor's son. The Mothers is actually a group of women at the church, and they kind of do, like, this chorus narration thing, which is, it doesn't really work for me in the second half of the novel, but the novel as a whole is really good. So it got the runner-up award for fiction. And the runner-up for nonfiction is Girls and Sex by Peggy Orenstein, and we just love her book to pieces, because it delves into the expectations, the sexual expectations of women in our society, our United States, particularly society today, and how that affects women of all ages and men, and how women view themselves. So if you want to hear our discussion on that one in particular, is much better than I'm describing it right now. So go check that out. So the winner is Jungmann Shelter, and I couldn't be more excited that this book won because it is a gorgeous book about Kyung, and he's a Korean American man who married a Caucasian woman. So you have the dynamic of an interracial relationship, and then you have that they're in financial straits. So they have a relationship over because they have to sell their house. A naked woman runs in the backyard, and they find out it's his mom. It's Kyung's mom. And so just so much is going on. This book deals with, race, class, family, everything. Gorgeous book. I couldn't be happier that it won the Reading Women Award. Final book that I want to talk about is All the Single Ladies by Rebecca Tracer. Now, I adore this book because it talks about the importance of single women in particularly American society, and it talks about the history of single women and also how women having independence and no longer being legally minors, thank goodness, that has changed the dynamic of America and relationships and just so many different things. And she's so smart. She is so smart. I just love her to pieces. So if you're interested in feminism and society, pick up this one. If you have All the Single Ladies or Shelter and you want a sticker, please email the Reading Women at the email I'll put in the description, and you can have free stickers. We even ship internationally. That is all the books that I want to talk about here, but I do have another list of books of just 2016 titles I'll put that in the description box below. There are so many other books that I would love to talk about, and I hope to talk about them later on this channel, but that's going to be all for now. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.